Welcome back to my channel and a special welcome if you're new here. My name is Jen and this is Jen Clayton Beauty. We do everything beauty and makeup, and that includes testing new makeup, new eyeshadow palettes, and today we are going to do a look with one of my favorite indie brands, Adept Cosmetics' newest release, and that is this beauty right here. This is the Cyborg Choir palette. First of all, this leather iridescent ombre packaging is absolutely beautiful. It is nice, thick, heavy duty packaging. There is a mirror in the palette, and take a quick peek at this color story. This is everything that I need in a palette. We have two full rows of Adept's amazing, sparkly, beautiful foiled shimmers, multi-chromes, duochromes, sparkly holochrome shadows, and then we have a row of Adept's mattes. Now, Adept always does shimmer heavy palettes, but I do appreciate that they've been putting in a few more mattes. There used to only be 2, maybe 3 mattes. Now they're actually giving us a whole row. So I'm so excited to try this out. It is cyborg robot themed, and the names of the shadows just give that vibe completely. I love the color story of this. It's very unique. We have some light, mid-tone, and deep mattes. We actually have quite a few deeper mattes. We also have a wide variety of shimmer shades. I mean, we even have a pop of this beautiful green blue called Cybernetic Spark. We have Cyber Symphony, which is this beautiful gold. Some of these multi-chromes like Digital Harmony, Android Aura, Voltage Violet, Mechanical Muse are absolutely beautiful. You can create a colorful look. You could create a little bit more smoky neutral look because we do have this kind of gray black matte, and we do have some more neutral mattes as well, but this is definitely leaning more towards a colorful palette. Now, I will say when I swatched it, the shimmers, as expected, swatched beautifully. The mattes, they were a little bit sheer when I swatched them. They feel a little bit powdery in the pan, and when I swatched them, I felt like I had to go in and build them up quite a bit, especially this chartreuse shade here called 7, which is one of the mattes that I was really excited about. Even the purple shade, the more mid-tone shade Robotic Fusion, I felt like I just had to build them up. So I'm hoping that they perform a little bit better on the eyes. We know that swatches don't tell the whole story. This is a little bit more pricey palette. I will put the discount code down below that I used when I purchased the palette. I'm really excited to do an eye look with it. I really want to test these mattes out because I've enjoyed Adept mattes in their last few palettes. So I just did the Flying Fiddles palette, their more neutral palette. Those mattes were great. So we'll see how they perform on the eyes. So if you're excited, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, turn your bell on so you never miss any of the videos that I upload every single week. I will, of course, link the Adept Cyborg Choir palette down below with the discount, as well as my favorite beauty boxes, all of the other makeup that I'm wearing today if you would like to shop this look, discounts to my favorite indie brands, and come follow me on TikTok for more beauty and makeup. Let me zoom you in and let's test out Adept Cyborg Choir palette. So as always, I'm going to prime my eyes with my MAC Paint Pot in Painterly. I always use an eyeshadow primer. I never do an eye look without a primer, especially because I'm 48 and I have a lot of fine lines and wrinkles. And I also want those mattes and shimmers to have their best chance at performance. And just an eyeshadow base in general works really well. I always tap that in just to make sure there's no creasing. I do not set my eye primer. Now, like I said, this shade number 7, this really pretty chartreuse shade, this is the one that I was really excited about. Did not swatch the best, but it looks like it's picking up pretty well on my fluffy brush. I want to use this as my transition shade. So I'm going to tap that into the crease and pull that a little bit above the crease. Just not getting a lot of payoff with these matte, with this color. I feel like it's barely there. It's more of a pastel, and I expected it to be a little bit more bright and bold. It looks neon in the pan, but it is, like I said, just translating on the eyes, very pastel. This is 3 or 4 swipes into that shade to get that amount of payoff. I don't know how I feel about that. It is buildable, but like I said, I'm not getting the payoff I was hoping from the matte. It's very, very, very sheer. And again, leaning towards a pastel more than a bright chartreusey yellow. Definitely not my favorite so far. Definitely not my favorite so far. I mean, I see it, but it's just not what I was expecting. So I think I'm going to go into the mid-tone matte called Robotic Fusion, which is that purple shade. That one also didn't swatch the best. On a little bit smaller fluffy brush, I'm going to pack that into my crease. And I'm not going to go above my crease because I do want to see what I can see of that yellow shade number 7. And I'm just going to buff this into the crease. Now this shade is performing pretty similar to the swatch. Again, it's taking a lot to build it up. I'm definitely getting more payoff than that yellow shade number 7, but it's still really, really light and sheer. In fact, once I've put that purple on, I don't know if you can see, but you can't even really see the yellow shade, the number 7 shade. Ugh, these mattes. So that's about as good as it's gonna get with the purple shade. And like I said, I feel like I've completely blended away number 7. So I'm gonna pick a little bit more up on that same fluffy brush and use that to just buff out my crease in hopes to bring back a little bit more of that yellow shade. So far, these mattes are not my favorite. Honestly, I don't feel like they're performing very well at all, which is a little bit disappointing. Maybe I'm hoping that the darker mattes perform a little bit better. I'm going to pick up the shade 77, which is the blue matte. It's more like a navy blue. That one swatched pretty good, and I'm going to pack that on the outer corner. So that's laying down a little bit better, but still it's pretty sheer. I mean, even for being a deep dark matte, it's going on pretty sheer, and it's taking, again, a lot of dipping back into the pan, applying it with a little bit more dense brush to get some color payoff. But I'm definitely getting the color payoff. It's just a lot of work. It's definitely more work than I'm used to with Adept mattes. So I was able to build that up, and this is a really pretty matte. It's not patchy. I'm getting a good amount of payoff, but boy, that purple and yellow in my crease has pretty much faded away to nothing already. And it's been 5 minutes since I applied them. So using that fluffy brush, no added shadow, I'm just going to buff. And after buffing, I lost a lot of the opacity even of that blue shade. I'm going to try one more time to go back into Robotic Fusion, the purple, and add a little bit more to blend with the blue, just so the blue's not such a harsh shade, because that yellow shade number 7 literally blends away to nothing. It's pretty much gone off of my eyes already. I mean, honestly, this shade isn't much better. Able to add a little bit more and hoping that it will stay, because like I said, it just faded away so quickly. That's as good as it's gonna get for the mattes. That's as good as it's gonna get. So let me get my NYX glitter glue and prime my eyes for some shimmer. So I'm going to add a little bit of my NYX glitter glue to my lids. That is another product that I use every time I do an eye look. As always, I'm going to use my finger and a brush for the shimmers to test them out. I definitely want to use this shade Cybernetic Spark. It's so pretty. It's a multi-chrome that shifts from green to gold to blue, and I think that's going to really help with the outer corner, adding a little bit more color and depth. So I'm going to place that on about the outer 3/4 of my lid. Okay, that is stunningly beautiful. As expected, Adept shimmers are some of the best shimmers. That is definitely saving the look a little bit. So I'm going to just tap that on. That's really, really pretty. I mean, really pretty. Then I'm going to go into Pixelated Pulse, which looks like a duochrome that shifts from blue to purple with a little bit of a black base. I'm picking that up on a flat, denser brush, and I'm going to place that in the inner corner and blend that over. Okay, that shade, I love that. That is really, really, really beautiful. And the shimmers are picking up really easily with a brush and with a finger. These are definitely those more wet shimmers. They're a little bit spongy when you touch them, if that makes sense in the pan. But those are the ones that typically will give you this beautiful sparkly payoff. I'm going to pick up the shade Digital Harmony, which is another one of the pretty multi-chromes in the palette. This one looks like a shift from pink to green to silver to gold, and I'm going to use that on the inner corner. Ooh, it's a little bit more pink even than I thought. That's really beautiful though. That's definitely more pink than I thought, but I like it. I really like that for an inner corner. I'm going to try out this matte called Synthetic Sound Wave, and I'm going to buff that on my lower lash line. We're gonna try one more matte in the palette. That looks great on the lower lash line. That definitely applied better than the other mattes that we've tried. Now, granted, it is just on the lower lash line, so I can't confirm that it would perform well as a lid shade, but it looks really pretty on the lower lash line. And then I'm going to buff the Shimmer Voltage Violet right on top of that, just to give a little bit of a shimmery lower lash line. That shimmer's really nice. That would look really good on the lid or even as an inner corner highlight. And lastly, using that big fluffy brush that once had the shade 7 on it, I'm going to use that just to blend everything together. So here is the look. Let me go ahead and do liner, mascara, pop on a lippy, do something with my hair. I actually just came home from working out, and I'll be back to share my first impression thoughts on Adept's Cyborg Choir palette. So here's the completed look with the Adept Cosmetics Cyborg Choir palette. Now, first of all, before I deep dive into the palette and my first impression thoughts of the mattes and the shimmers, I love how my overall look came out. The shimmers 100% saved this look. All of the shimmers performed beautifully. I don't have any creasing, any patchiness. They're absolutely beautiful. And like I said, they definitely saved the look. So overall, I think my look turned out really beautiful. I'm excited to wear it today. Overall, I really like how my look turned out. However, I'm pretty disappointed. You guys know I love Adept Cosmetics, but these mattes are not good in this palette. Now, I will say I did not use the shade Boring Circuit, which is the black shade. Now, that one swatched about the same as the other mattes. The darker shades definitely swatched a little bit better. There was more opacity. This blue shade took a lot of work to build it up to even get this deep navy shade. And then when I was looking at my look a little more up close when I was doing my liner and mascara, it was definitely more on the patchy side. I actually had to go in and add a little bit more to the outer corner to even add some depth. The purple shade that I used, the shade Synthetic Sound Wave on my lower lash line, that performed the best. But like I said, it was just one little swipe on the lower lash line. This yellow shade is awful, absolutely awful. You can't even see it on my eyes. And I went in with multiple layers, at least 7 or 8 layers. I even went back in trying to add a little bit more. This shade does not perform well at all. It blends away to absolutely nothing. And that's pretty similar with the Robotic Fusion shade, which is the purple shade. Now, granted, I do see that a little bit more, but I had to go back in after I had been in to the pan several times to get the shade to be opaque on the first go around. I had to go back in and add even more. So I don't think either one of these mattes perform very well. This, like I said, purple shade performs decently from what I can see. And I don't know about the black shade, but overall, I think the mattes are a total fail in this palette. I'm not impressed. And to be honest with you, I don't know how much I would even use the mattes in this palette. They just didn't perform well. So I'm not sure what happened between even the Flying Fiddle mattes and these mattes, because not good. And I'm so disappointed because I was so excited for this neon yellow shade, and it's really, really not good. However, the shimmers are beautiful. As expected from Adept Cosmetics, the shimmers, the multi-chromes, the duochromes, the holochromes, the sparkliness, beautiful. You can see in the pan here that they are that little bit more wet formula, kind of like a Super Shock shadow. You can see my finger imprint, but they're really, really pretty, and they went on flawlessly. They didn't take a lot of work, and they're sparkly and beautiful. And like I said, they're really what saved this look. So I love the shimmers, and I'm so glad that we actually have 2 full rows of shimmers and only 1 row of mattes. Do I think this palette is worth the money? No, I don't, because of the fact that these mattes perform so poorly. You're really paying for the 2 rows of shimmers, which granted, they are beautiful, but they're just not worth the full price of this palette. Like I said, this is a pricey palette, and the fact that the mattes just don't perform, I'm really bummed out. I'm really bummed, and I'm Honestly, even as beautiful as these shimmers are, I have beautiful shimmers like this from other brands like Unearthly Cosmetics and Blend Bunny and even other Adept shimmers that perform equally as beautiful as these. Honestly, I kind of regret buying this palette. And I don't think I've ever said that about an Adept palette. I really do love the brand, but this, in my opinion, was a little bit of a fail, specifically the mattes in this palette. So I'm pretty bummed out that I spent my money and bought this palette. Like I said, I don't foresee myself using the mattes again, so it would just be the shimmers in the palette. Man, it really bums me out. Like, I'm legitimately sad because I do love Adept Cosmetics so much. I just have to really think about future purchases from the brand if the mattes are going to be the same mattes that are in the Cyborg Choir palette, because they're just not good at all. Let me know if you guys bought this palette. I need to watch some other reviews on YouTube from some of my favorite beauty creators to see their thoughts. Maybe I'm the minority that just doesn't think the mattes are very good. But let me know if you got the palette and what you think of the mattes and the shimmer. So quite a disappointing release, in my opinion, from Adept Cosmetics, but I will have it linked down below with the discount code. I'm going to keep it in my collection. Like I said, I just don't know if I'll use the mattes again. I really want to watch some other reviews because, again, I'm wondering if I'm the majority or the minority, but that's my opinion. I'm always honest with you guys. Even if I spend my hard-earned money on a palette, I am not on the PR list of this brand. I spent my own money on this, and I kind of wish I didn't. So let me know down below your thoughts. And of course, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, turn your bell on, because I do upload lots and lots of new videos every single week. And again, I'll put all of the other makeup that I'm wearing, discounts to my favorite indie brands, and come follow me on TikTok for more beauty and makeup. Really, really, really disappointed.